I'm glad that the room is full and we're finally able to have Chester, Miss Barbara, and Miss Sugar joining here with us tonight. I'm just gonna do a very quick introduction, and we're just gonna dive in. Well, for Miss Sugar and Miss Barbara, they have been award-winning dancers and touring around the world before most of you all were born. And Chester's, I mean, I know they don't look it at all. You know, that's why I thought it's important to mention that. And Chester's, I know most of us knows him as an excellent dancer and choreographer, but he's also a band leader, martial artist, a general good at goofing around. But he's a multi-talented, and he's also very much of a jazz historian himself. So as we kind of go through the conversations tonight, I bet Chester will have a lot of bits of a history and wisdom to offer. And towards the end, we'll open up the floor to everyone for folks to ask some questions. But before we begin, I want to open the floor to the ladies to see if there's anything you would like to say to all the guests.
Well, we're glad to be here. Very much so, you know, especially at this age, this young age, you know. It's fun to come here. We are crazy about Sean and his wife, and we love being here with Chester. You know, that's the crazy genius. He's a musical genius. That's what he is. Barbara and I have been together. We met in the 50s, the early 50s, and we've been friends. So I call her my life sister. Barbara Billups.
I'm going to tell you how we met. That stays on my mind. When I got out of high school, my grandmother told me that I had to go to New York to my mother because my grandmother raised me. So when I got to New York, my mother says, I know you like to dance. So there's a place called the Savoy Ballroom. She said, I want you to go. I said, but Mama, I have to get a job. She said, oh, you won't get a job. She said, but when you have time off and call them what time you work, you can go to Savoy. Okay, that was okay with me. Then all of a sudden she asked my cousin, Loretta, to take me to the Savoy. So every night, I didn't have a job then, but every night we would go to Savoy. And when I go, I mean from Monday through Friday, of Sundays, unless I had something to do, I was at the Savoy. Then once I got a job, well, I went after I got a job. After I got off, I went. But when I went to this place, it was about a block long and a block wide. And if anybody know anything about New York, you know how big and long the blocks are. So when I went into this place, that was the most biggest, beautiful place I had ever seen. I never seen a place that big before. But every night I went into Savoy, they always had a lot of people there, And they would be dancing and dancing and dancing. And I liked the dance they was doing. I didn't know I was doing what they was doing, but not the way they was doing it. So one night, they had a circle going on, and the people just a dancing. And every time I turned around, there was a girl, a man, a guy, he would grab her, and they would go out and do a little bit, then come back. Another would go out and do a little bit. So this particular night, this man came up to me, and I'm not the kind of person, I won't mess with you if you're in it. I go on the outside. So I was on the outside of the circle. trying to learn the steps that they were doing because they were doing it pretty fast. So this man came over to me and he grabbed my hands. And when he grabbed my hands, he took me in the circle. I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. He said, yes, you can. I said, no, I can't. He said, do what you've been doing every night you come here. He said, come on. So once he got me in the circle, man, I was gone. I don't know what I was doing, but I was doing it. Because every time I would look, I was dancing with my eyes closed because I was scared. And the way they was dancing, I didn't want to feel embarrassed. So every time I opened up my eyes, there was a different man holding my hand. So I knew then I must have been doing something right. So I enjoyed myself that night. I went home, I went to work, and I had said I wasn't going, wait a minute now, what's my mic? Okay, no it ain't. Okay, is it there? All right then. So what had happened, I was so excited to know that whatever I was doing, it must have been all right, because the fellows was right there with me. Another fella, I closed my eyes, another fella, I closed my eyes, another fella. So I knew I must have been doing something right. So I went home, I was telling my girlfriend, she said, yeah, Barbara, I saw you. And I was telling my mother, she said, I'm very glad you were happy. So the next night, I couldn't wait to get to the Savoy. When I got to the Savoy and I opened the door, this lady came up to me and she said, do you know who you was dancing with last night? I said, no. She said, that's my husband. I said, oh, shit. I figured I had a problem. But she said, come here. Let me show you what he was trying to show you how to do. It was this one right here. And from that night until now, we've been just like this. I ain't saying no more.
And actually, I feel there's a theme kind of going on with that in your career, Barbara. So as Barbara was saying, she basically went into Savoy, didn't really learn, didn't go to a dance school growing up. You just kind of picked it up. After you two became life sisters, you all joined the same dance company together. And the way I understand it too is that there, when you're dancing with Sonny Allen, you end up picking up a lot of stuff on the spot too, no?
Sonny Allen, well, when you dance in the Savoy, if you're a regular there every night, your main object is you want to win the Harvest Moon Ball. That's a dance contest that goes on, it used to, every September. The finals was in Madison Square Garden, and they had like 5 or 6 different division of dances: tango, rumba, Lindy Hop, polka, Viennese waltz, and so certain dancers dance in the different categories. And whoever won first place, you became a professional dancer that night on the spot. Because for your winnings, you signed professional contracts to perform in theaters and nightclubs in New York. And so that's what most of us aimed for, to win the Harvest Moon Bowl. So in 1958, Sonny Allen won first place in the Lindy Hop. And Barbara, she didn't even want to get in the contest, but we made her dance with one of the guys, and they came in third, which shocked her almost to death, which shocked her, yes. When they called her name, she didn't even know that, Barbara, you got to go up on the stage. She said, what? And we said, you won third place, and she didn't even want to believe it, So Sonny Allen, when he won, he afterwards he said he wanted to put a dance review together to travel around the country entertaining audiences. So he says, he spoke to Barbara, he spoke to me, and he says, I want 8 girls. Help me get 8 girls for this dance review. So we said, what do you need me to just get 8 girls? So he said, so that's what we did. We talked to the dancers, and we got our 8 girls, and Sonny had a place for us to practice, and we practiced like 8 months, like 8 to 10 hours a day. My family thought I was crazy. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are y'all doing all those hours? Mama, we're putting a review together, and it's going to be good. Just wait and see. And so that's what happened. We got the review together because during those months, Sonny was teaching us African, Latin. Some of us knew Lindy Hop, some weren't that good. Sonny and I did tap, and we also did modern jazz. He says, we'll have to have enough routines to do an hour show for an audience. So that's what we were shooting for. And we got it together, and we performed in Small's Paradise in Harlem, and we were spectacular. Our families finally came and got a chance to see what we were doing out of the house all those months, and they were floored. They really were. And we found out a couple of us were related. There was a girl, her name was Lovey. I found out she was my cousin. She was from North Carolina, where my family is from. Barbara found out she had a cousin in the group. Her name was Lil Bit, and she was from Alabama. Barbara lived in Georgia, and we never knew this until the families got together. Oh, so and so, Aunt so and so, and we looking through the curtains before we perform and say, how do those people know the dancers, And then we found out that some of us were related. And that's how Sonny Allen and the Rockets got together. But we had to cut it. He had to cut them down to 4 girls only. He couldn't book 8 girls out of the club. When he went to agents to try to book jobs for us, they say, well, that's a lot of girls, and they're looking at something obscene. He says, my girls dance. They're entertainers, They don't strip and all that stuff, and we never had to go to agents' offices or anything like that. Sonny handled all of that. We had photos made. They saw what we looked like, and he told them what we did, and that's how he booked our jobs. And we worked for like 13 years straight, traveling back and forth from New York to Massachusetts to Canada. And when we went in a club, we didn't go for a weekend. We went for a month, 2 months. We was in a club up in Canada for 6 months. We had to quit the lady in order to come home. She was very serious. You're not going anywhere. If you leave, you can't come back. We said, just a couple of us want to go home, see our kids. Some of us had kids. I'm sorry, if you leave, you can't come back. So we stuck out for 6 months, and then we had a vote. And even Sonny wanted to come home. He had nothing to come back to New York for, really. But we said, heck, the heck with the money, we want to go home. And that's what we did. We came home. But that's the kind of gigs that we had, and that's what we did for those years, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, I'm gonna pass the baton over to Chester real quick. So now that the ladies had a chance to talk about the start of the dance career, I think we can start out with the story of how you met one of your most important teacher, Fayar.
Fayard Nicholas. Well, I met Fayard, but believe it or not, I was doing research in the art of dance, vernacular dance, and I was trying to learn tap tap dancing. And looking at all the old movies, you see all these different movies, and they would dance. And you gotta relate, in the 60s, there weren't no schools out there that would do it. There was tap dance schools, but they were, it was watered down. It was not good. So I was determined to learn all these old movie steps, and I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this. And a friend of mine said, go take this tap class. And I went there, and they had me with, I was the only guy in the class, running around. He said, try this. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Well, I learned it, but it was not my thing. So my friend said, this is place, Art Center, Cultural Arts Center. And this is guy, good tap dancer. You can learn a lot. I said, okay. I rode my bicycle up there, had my tap shoes on my bicycle. In them days, we had banana bicycle seats. You know, I said, go there, the place was closed. I said, oh man, come on, this is ridiculous. I rode all the way out here, it's closed. So I rode all the way back. Right down, there's this car in the middle of the highway, and this guy trying to put the tire on, and nobody was there helping him. Cars going like, I said, oh man, this guy's gonna get hit. I said, you need some help? He said, yeah. Got off my bicycle, and I was putting the tire on. He looked on my handlebars, he saw my shoes, tap shoes, and he said, oh, you're a hoofer. I said, what? A hoofer. I thought he was calling me a hooker. And so I said, he said, no, a hoofer means dancer, you know. He said, you know, I tap dance too. I said, oh, really? You know, he said, yeah. You want to learn how to dance, come over to mine. I said, yeah, okay, who's this guy? I'm up here trying to lift this tire up, just get him on the way. Good, I did my good deed. He gave me his card. I said, okay, I'm going. So meanwhile, huh? Oh, all right. and all doubt hit it. So I'm doing my research trying to learn these dances. And my mother said, you know what, you're getting frustrated. You should take that man's advice. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go over his house. Went over his house, knocked on the door. He opened the door. Hey, you made it. You ready for your first lesson? I said, sure. You know, I walked in. He ran into the living room, grabbed the rug, pulled it out. And it was a nice, beautiful floor. Then he said, all right, show me what you got. I thought it was some hot stuff there. And I said, stand back. And then, and I got up there and, yeah, I know it's good. He looked at me and said, interesting. Try this. He got up there. He looked at me. I looked at the floor. He looked at the floor. I looked at him. He looked at me. I said, mine don't look like yours. If you want to learn how to dance, you gotta want it. And he said, I'll be glad to do it. Come to find out, it's the same gentleman I went to the school. He wasn't there because of the car. And we became good friends. I was with him for 2.5 years, dancing with this guy every Wednesday night, 7 to 2 in the morning, 7 hours straight. And and all his friends were there, incredible dancers. And I'm looking at these people, they look familiar, but I didn't know who they were. So one night, I'm watching television. You guys got to realize this is the 60s. late night movies. We had not none of the stuff you guys have now. What you surfing the web, that 900 channels. We had only 7 channels. You had a TV guide. So, and there was this all-black program, all musicals. And this guy's I never seen an all-black chorus line. I never seen all chorus guys. I never seen, they all can sing, they all can dance. I said, am I dreaming, watching late up night, watching this? And there was the guy that did Shirley Temple. He was there. There was oh, Heidi, Heidi, Heidi. Oh, who's this guy? Oh, I'm having a fit. And then at the end of the movie, these 2 guys come flying out, jumping over each other, flipping and doing splits all over the place. I'm going, what in the world is this? Tap dancing ninjas, you know? So I said, my God. So I told my friends in the morning, did you guys see that movie? See that movie? No, you must have dreamed it. They didn't believe me. Nobody believed me. So I went back to tap class, and the teacher said, something bothered me. I saw this movie of these guys. He said, well, and I explained it to him. He said, wait a minute. I went in the back, pulled out some 8x10s. Look at these pictures, and I'm going, yeah, look at this. There's the Heidi Heidi Ho guy. And that's the guy that worked at Shirley Temple. And I said, that's you. I didn't know it. And that was Fayard Nicholas of the Nicholas Brothers. And he's the one that got me started dancing. He gave me my first job breaking down steps. And I was in LA, I was around the throw around kid. Everybody, they didn't understand why I loved the vernacular art so much. So they took to another gentleman, Clarence Frenchy Landry, had a group called the High Hatters. They worked with Duke Ellington's orchestra. They did Jump for Joy. Out of that, and then from there, I went with Esmond Mosby. They were the first eccentric dance, learning comedy duty. They were the first trio group that went to China in 1932. And their group was called the Three Chocolatiers. And they were the guys that created the dance called the Peckin'. They did that. I learned women's chorus line from a lady named Frances Neely. Then from Frances, I moved over and I met Catherine Dunham. I worked with Dunham. And I worked with Archie Savage, which was my first Lindy Hop teacher. At that time, I learned jazz routines from like Maria Bryant. My techniques for learning how to put shows together was the legendary Leonard Reed. I worked with Leonard Reed, Willie Covan. There's some of these names you might not know, but you should look them up because this is history of vernacular jazz dances. And being around these people, you know, they didn't understand because I was the youngest one in the group. And I was like 17, 18. And these guys like in the 60s, 70s, you know, and they took me everywhere. I was John Bubbles, the father of rhythm tap dancing, Take Care, keeper for 8 years. You know, and I met a lot of people, saw a lot of things, and I just had this love for it. Then later on in the 70s, 76, then I met my main Lindy Hop teacher that I would travel with for 36 years. So it's Norma Miller. Got a chance with her. I was, being a filmmaker, I do film work. I did graphic work on, it was a show in 1976, the Richard Pryor Show. And she was on there. At that time, she was doing comedy. Then we worked with Red Fox and a lot of different other people. So that's a brief history of the different range. And I got a chance to work with many of the big bands. You know, Miles Davis, Count Basie. I played for Count Basie. I played drums for Count Basie. And Lionel Hampton, 6 months. No, mad, he's crazy. Les Brown is renowned orchestra. Cab Calloway, yeah. I did work with Cab Calloway and his daughter. I did 126 shows, one-nighters. If you don't know what one-nighters are, it's a show every night. And a different place.
Different place.
You're correct, you know, because I might be here tonight. As soon as we finish here, I go get something to eat, get on the bus, and boom, 6 hours, 8 hours, get to another place, boom, boom, sound check, boom, boom, do the show, eat, boom, boom, back on the bus again, boom, or on the plane, so different phases of showbiz. But working with these people, they gear you, they groom you, and it's not about just dancing, but you learn what the dance can do in a atmosphere, if it's stage, if it's cabaret, if it's television, if it's film. You learn the different techniques of that. And of course, the resurgence of swing came back in the 80s. And boy, and I got a chance to meet more people in the globe that was doing. These ladies came out, boy. When I first saw them, I was like, I mean, and I said, wait a minute. I was talking to Leonard. I said, Leonard, where did you get these people? They're like the dynamic duo. And they just, Miss Boogie here. But see how she is? But it, thank you, sir. I got my own.
All right, since Chelsea, we're talking about kind of going on a tour, doing shows, and I guess that's really one element of the dance that a lot of the folks in the audience maybe hasn't been part of. We go to social dance and we take classes, but really life as a performer on the road is quite different. Any kind of interesting stories or challenges you folks had to deal with you would like to share with the group?
Well, I went on a 3-week tour with Cap Calloway's orchestra. I don't know how he got my name, but he got in touch with me, and he says, I'm putting a show together. I'm going to Canada, and we're going to work our way back to Washington, D.C., and our last gig is going to be at Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. He says, and I understand that you Lindy Hop. He said, I want some Lindy Hoppers. And I'm gonna play you some good music. He says, that's why I need you and your partner and another couple. And at the time, I wasn't dancing. I said, okay, no problem, no problem. I said, I got to find another couple and I got to find me a partner because then I wasn't dancing. And I did, I found some dancers and we put a routine together. And it was, we auditioned for him and he was satisfied. So we went on the road with him. We went to Canada and then we came back and we finished up at Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. So when we first started in Canada and he called me, they said, Mr. Calloway wants to see you in his office. I said, oh, okay, all right. So I said, oh my gosh, I wonder what's happened with the group. What have we done? So I goes up to talk to him, and he said, come go with me to my dressing room. I said, okay, all right, I'm getting edgy, you hear stories, I said, okay, all right. So we go in his dressing room, and he opens up his closet, and he said, Sugar, help me. I said, what? He said, you sew, right? They said you sew. I said, yeah, I make all of our costumes. He said, all of these tails, you only wore white tails on stage. He said, all of my tails, suits are so big. He said, I got these, look, all of them got these great big safety pins in them. He had lost a lot of weight. He was heavy, he was thin, then he got heavy, very heavy, and then he lost weight. The doctors got on him, and for medical reasons, but he lost weight and he was looking good again, slim, So I looked and I said, no problem, don't worry, but I got you. So, you sure? I said, by the time the tour is over, all of your tails will be fitting perfect. He said, all right. So I got it done, every day I get a couple of them and that night, I'd fix them that night after we performed or whatever. And he was very happy when I finished with his tails. Yeah.
And actually, one fun fact, Miss Sugar actually crocheted her outfit tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I used, when we first started, when Sonny started the review, he said, well, Sugar, can you do anything about costumes? We're going to need costumes. So I said, that's true. So the night that we opened at Smalls, we had costumes. We did, it was this whole score of Gypsy, all these different temples and this music, the score of Gypsy. And we had these dance routines that Sonny had taught us and put them together. And we did the whole score of Gypsy. And we opened up with Sonny had on a black cape with red lining. He had white gloves. He had a cane. He had black patent leather shoes. And he had a tux that he was sharp. Every number that we did, the costumes that I had made and designed, he had a jacket to match it. He had rented these jackets and the black tuxedo pants. And every number that we did to that score of Gypsy, he had a jacket to match it, and we were just spectacular. And everybody that came to see the show said, you need to be on Broadway. We said, we'd love to, But, and that's what we did. As the time went by, the girls learned how to sew. I taught them how to sew. I would design, cut them out, and show them what to do, and they learned how to sew. Barbara learned how to sew. After that, she was doing different things with the sewing machine, and that went on the whole time we were dancing. Yeah. And I also, before the Savoy closed, I used to make costumes for the dancers, because some of them, they would be performing, doing all the aerials and everything, and so strenuous, and some of them would pop out of their costumes, and you lost points on that when you were competing. If you tore something was showing that wasn't supposed to show, they took off points. So I definitely, when I used to go see the Harvest Moon Ball after I won, which I won, my husband and I, first place, 1955. Yes. So that's when we became professional dancers. My husband didn't care to perform after that. So we just fulfilled our contracts. And then he didn't want to perform anymore. And then I joined, that's why I joined with Sonny. And once we did all of those contracts, he liked to teach. So he was home teaching the younger dancers that was coming along while I was traveling. And that's what he loved to do, teach. And he taught a lot of winners. He produced a lot of Harvest Moon Ball winners, yeah. Even our son and our daughter, they won second and third prize, but they never got to win first before they had stopped the Harvest Moon Ball. But he had taught a lot of winners for the Harvest Moon Ball that won first place.
Sugar, let me say something.
Oh, excuse me, yes, go ahead.
Sugar husband, Joyce, he had that kind of attitude that even if you didn't want to do nothing, you would do it anyway. The way he acted and the way he acted. Now, coming with me, it wasn't nowhere in the world I was going to do the Harvest Moon Ball. I was doing dance and I was enjoying myself. And I saw them talking, 2 or 3 of the fellas talking, and sooner or later he came over to me. He said, Barbara, you have to dance in Harvest Moon Ball. I said, He said, yes. I said, George, I cannot do that. He said, yes, you can. You going in there. Now, he didn't give me a chance to say, no, period. He said, yes, you can, and walked away. And then the next thing I know, she comes over. You dancing with Harvest Moon Ball? I said, no. She's another one. She said, yes, you are. I said, I can't win with this family no kind of way. So then he came to me, him and one or two of the fellas came to me. I said, Harvest Moon Ball in 2 weeks. There's no way in the world I can do the routines that I saw them do. He said, what we're gonna show you, you're gonna do it. You won't have no problem. And I'm like this. I was so nervous. But with him, Willie Posey, and I danced with the fellow Willie Posey. Nick Moser and all of them got together and showed me 2 or 3 routines, and she helped me with doing the flips and so forth. It's nowhere in the world I would have told them that I would be at Madison Square Garden, but I did go. And I kept telling them I got to go to the bathroom. They said, no, you don't. You just nervous. I said, I got to go to the bathroom. They said, no. She said, sit down. So sooner or later, they called my name and so forth, and I'm not paying them no mind. And she kept saying, Barbara, Barbara. So I got up and went on the floor. But you know what? Like I tell y'all when we are teaching you something, if you make a mistake, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Don't stop, please. And if you're in a class and think that you don't know that step, that you can't learn the step, don't walk out. Because you don't pay that money. You come on in there and learn. And if we see, well, you have a problem, we're going to take our time out to teach you, to learn, so you won't be saying, well, I went to it and I couldn't learn it. If you stay with us, you're going to learn something before you leave there. Because we was taught that way. So getting back to the Harvest Moon Ball, once the music started, I forgot about scared. Once the music started, I started dancing and couldn't hardly stop when the music stopped. But it's only proof to show you that you can do anything. I didn't want to now, but I'm going to say this. You can do anything you want to if you want to. That wasn't my turn, but I realized later, do whatever you can. Don't stop. I got hurt. Sugar got hurt very bad. We still here. And we still trying to dance. So please. And I'm going to say this.
When did you get hurt?
I'm going to say.
I don't know you. When you hurt?
When I twist my ankle.
Oh, she twists up.
But I'm going to say this and I'm going to shut up.
She'll never shut up.
Please, whatever you do, don't stop dancing. Please don't. And try to encourage someone else. I'm waiting. If I am invited back next year, I want each one of you come up to me and say, Barbara, this is who I brought. It's a new member. Even if they don't want to dance, bring them anyway.
You'll be surprised. Some people, they see it, and right away they want to learn it. Even kids, you know. Lindy Hop it's mind-boggling, you know. It like grabs you and say, come with me. That's the way Lindy Hop is, you know. I taught my kids, you know, my husband and I, and I'd love to teach my great-great-grandchildren, but they live in Georgia, you know. But my son in the 80s put Lindy Hop on roller skates. My son and his partner, she wasn't a dancer. She learned how to roller skate. And they would go roller skating. At that time, in the 80s in New York, there was a lot of roller rinks. And we used to go every Friday night as a family. My daughter, my son, and my granddaughter, she was born then, and we would go roller skating on Friday nights. And my son and his partner, they would perform in the show. they had a little show every Friday night, and they have contests on Friday night. So he got the bright idea after watching the Nicholas brothers, yes, when they sliding down on doing those splits and everything. He said, Lindy Hop, I'm gonna put that on roller skates. So he taught this girl. Her name was Baby T, we called her, and they were so good together. They were great. And they would go around on Friday nights to the different rinks and win first place in all the contests. So they got to the point on Friday nights, couples would go to the rink and say, they say, "You're entering the contest? Is the, what was his name? What were their names? Oh gosh, let's see. I was the mother of the, I can't think of their names, but they had a name, a particular name, and they would ask them, are they in the contest? Say, yeah, no, thanks, no. So they stopped competing, and they tried to enter, it was roller derby competitions. And they said, no, you don't do legal roller skating. So I told my son, I said, just go around to the rinks and talk to them about performing. He said, that's an idea, Mom. So that's what they did. They go to roller rinks, and they would perform on Friday nights in their shows and get paid for it. And that's how he was doing Lindy Hop on roller skates. And they did aerials, they did splits. Yes, they did aerials also. And now, this is Saturday, my son and my grandson, who is 16, they went to the rink today. And he's teaching my grandson to do Lindy Hop on roller skates. 2 years ago, during pandemic, they did a Zoom. One of the dancers I think he was from Philadelphia, somewhere in that area, called and said, would you do a Zoom for me? I understand you and your grandson and your son do Lindy Hop on roller skates. So my son said, no problem. And they filmed it at a roller rink, and he did a Zoom, and it turned out great. Yes. So anybody that took the stops with us today, that's what my son is teaching my grandson today. The stops on roller skates. You okay?
Now, if I could finish what I was saying.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Please, bring someone with you. And whoever you bring, if I'm here, say, Barbara, I brought this person with you. You do that, one of them gonna give you $1, not me. One of them gonna give you $1.
Spending our money.
You guys all heard it, yeah? So everyone has homework for next year.
I never would have thought in 2025 that I would still be Lindy Hopper, I can't believe that it's all over the world. I'm loving it so much. The first time when I saw it in what is it called, Red Square in Moscow, I said, oh my God, they doing Lindy Hop in Russia. I love it, We've met dancers from Madagascar. We go to Sweden every year, We've taught in London. And Barbara's been to Greece. Oh, and where else? Chester tours the world. Yeah, Chester goes in war zones and do Lindy Hop. He teaches classes in war zones. He's braver than anybody I know, But and to know that it's still here, and I learned this in 1944, and it's so great. I mean, get your little ones, take them You know, when you play some music in the house for them and give them a little turnover, you know, that gets them started, you know, and teach them doing a little Charleston. Come on, I know you all got some little ones out there. Don't hide it from them. Let them dance. There's nothing more pleasant, more acrobatic. You know, it's good for your health, you know. Hey, she's 89 years old. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. I'm 94, all right? Okay, all right, okay. Okay, to keep you young, you know? You don't have no dementia and all that craziness, you know? You worry about, oh, I saw that girl do that step over there. I like that, you know? Get into it. Get the kids into it. And it's healthy. And it's safe, you know? Really, please do. They don't have to do aerials, but let them do swing out. Or if they see aerials, they're gonna do them anyway, you know. But they do gymnastics in school, you know. It's the same thing. And the ones that does gymnastics, oh, they great. But they can do handstand steps and stuff like that. Things that I never learned how to do yet. But it's really it's healthy, you know, and it keeps you just feeling. It keeps you young. It really does. Okay? All right.
And I know Baba really means it. Really, bring a friend next time. Next time you go to a venue, introduce someone, have them come meet the living legends. Yes. And, yeah. So I know we don't have a ton of time left, but I want to see if anyone has any questions you would like to ask our VIPs. Oh, folks, don't be shy. All right.
You guys talked about dancing at the Savoy. Can you describe more of what a normal night at the Savoy was like? Like what kind of dances were they doing? It's Lindy Hop, but a bunch of other music. Yeah.
Right, so she's asking if you can describe, kind of help paint the picture what a night of dancing is like at Savoy. You know, right here, people roll up to a parking lot, they check in at the front desk, you know, walk into a ballroom. But what was it like? What are the sights and sounds at Savoy?
The first time I went to Savoy, I was 16. I go strutting up to the box office, and they said, "Where you going?" I said, "Upstairs." "No, where's your mother?" "My mother's home." I had on socks, no makeup, and I looked to be like 12. He said, "How old are you?" 16. "Come back when you're adult." "What? How old do I have to be?" 21? "No, 18. I said, "I'll see you in 2 years, buddy." In 2 years, I went back with proof in my hand. He said, "You're welcome." And I went in there, and I didn't stop going in there until it closed in 1958. I was there day and night, because in the daytime, we could go up and practice our little routines. There were no classes, nobody to really stand up and teach you. Somebody would show you a step, or show you a couple of steps and walk away, and go over there and talk to somebody else, you know, and look back and she ain't got it yet. Let me go show it to her one more time. "You want me to show it to you again? Please?" And they show it to you a couple of times, and then you got it on your own. They gone away. And that's the way we learned how to Lindy Hop in the Savoy. They opened 10 o'clock at night. Times fluctuated through the years, you know. They would open at 10 and maybe close 3, 4, then they cut it down like to 2, that type of thing. We were there when they opened the door, and we were there when they locked it at night. Because once we became regulars, we had a gold card with our pictures on it. That was our ID. We didn't pay anything to go in. And in the daytime, we would go up there and practice. Sometimes bands would be rehearsing, and we didn't bother them. They didn't bother us. We could go up and practice our steps on the carpet, or or on the dance floor, as long as we didn't bother them. And that's what we would do, 7 days a week. Savoy Ballroom floor was my baby's playground. They watched us dance. They couldn't help from wanting to do it. They were crawling around on the floor, playing in the booths and everything, My son, I had to keep chasing them away from the ice machine. They liked this great big machine with all this ice in there. They go in there and steal ice, So that was their playground. But that's the way we learned how to Lindy, showing each other a step here and there. If you wanted to do an aerial, a couple of guys, they would stand on the side to spot you, maybe one stand in the back, try to keep you from hurting yourself, that type of thing. And that's how we learned Lindy Hop. And that was the course of a day for us. We would go up maybe, say, 10 in the morning, maybe stay till about 2, go home, get the babies ready, have your dinner, change for the night. My mother said, those kids better be asleep. Oh yeah, Mama, they'll be asleep. I lived on the ground floor where we lived, and we had 2 doors, one in the kitchen door, which was in the back. In the living room, there was a door that's in the front. So my son, up to this day, he don't go to sleep. And TV went off at 2 a.m. in the morning. That's the way he would go to sleep when he hear the Star Spangled Banner, da 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 da, and the flag is waving. I said, okay, time to go to sleep. Come on. And I pat him on he's in the crib, So what I would do, I would get dressed, put my daughter right away. She go to sleep. She goes to sleep 8, 9 o'clock at night. But my son, I put him in the crib, and I lay down on the bed, and I'm patting him on his back and humming a song or a nursery rhyme or something. And when he gets quiet, it's dark. I'm tipping to the door. Ma. I come running back, patting. Don't want my mother to hear. I pat him. And he get quiet for a little bit. I make it to that back door. I'm out of there. I make it to the kitchen door, lock the door, and break to the corner, man. I was weighing like 84, 85 pounds. I'd break for the corner and go a block out the way to get the bus. Because I'm afraid my mother come step out on the front step, and her voice would carry. And she could sing Sugar Boy. She'd sing, Sugar, and everybody on the block would hear it, So that's the way I went to the Savoy most nights. And the next morning, my mother said, that boy was asleep. Mom, I thought sure he was asleep. Yeah, Sugar, yeah. But she understood because she was a Lindy Hopper. She didn't go to Savoy. There was a ballroom a few blocks down from the Savoy. They were our rivals. It was called the Renaissance Ballroom. And they had Rennie Lindy Hoppers. And my mother was a Rennie Lindy Hopper back in the day, her and my father. So she understood the bug I had. So that was on my side, I knew she would let me go, So that's how I used to Lindy Hop. Yep. Yeah. So yeah.
All right. Unless Barbara, you want to add anything?
No, I want Chester to say something. I don't know what you're gonna say. You can say how you worked us, but you gonna say something.
He talks all day long. When we get one of these things, he don't say nothing, He got plenty to say.
Talk.
Okay, maybe the next question could be for Chester, is it? Maybe? Yes?
Just a follow-up about the Savoy. Was there food or drink, and what was the live music like at the Savoy?
What was the food or drink?
Yes, I was wondering if there was food or drink, like it was alcohol served, for example, and
They had a long bar. They had a long bar, you know, and there was a bar. They had box seats. They had table and chair setups, and then they had chairs. Like if you just came and just want to sit down, they had rows of chairs that you could. You didn't have to get a box seat and set up, you know, and all that on your table. And food, I don't remember. I don't remember any food, right, Barbara? They had food in Savoy. Food I don't remember because I don't think I've ever eaten anything in Savoy.
Well,
And
you were
we
dancing the whole time.
And we just
so-
drank water. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
He ain't out there all the time. Go ahead.
Okay.
So it sounds like you travel a lot around the world. I was wondering whether Lindy Hop has kind of evolved differently in different countries, and if you have any good stories from your travels.
You have any good stories, Chester?
How many countries I did last year? Yeah, I did 21 countries last year. 21 last year, 18 the year before that. Even the pandemic, I did 4 television shows during the pandemic. I had classes all doing all that. Yeah, it evolved. We called it the resurgence of the swing in the middle of the 80s. And that's when the main countries started to evolve. The tap evolved around in the ending of the 70s, but the swing evolved all over. It's a type of dance, like they were saying, that you can't go wrong. Like the other social dances, there's like, to me, it's too serious. They're real serious, you know. I like the dances, but they get to a part and they just, you know, have you seen a Lindy Hopper dancing? They're happy. I mean, when you're out there, like with the swing music, you're happy. Every country I went to have it. I did Bangkok. Got out there, I did the Savoy Cup. We had Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, all over. There's 3 companies in Africa, India, and they're all learning the swing. And it's evolving, it's moving. But I mean, learning, and then there's also, we got new people coming up doing stuff. But doing the resurgence, I've seen a lot. And I say, like, these people here, these are treasures right here. So you're in the midst. And when you take a class of an organization like this, Swingin at the Savoy, it's put it on and bringing these people there, take advantage of it because it's part of history. You are part of history because you came. You know, you guys came here to get the information. Now you got the information, and it's gonna be like a thread, and then you're gonna pass it on to other people. And some people come for a different reason. Some people just come to dance. Some people come to do competition. You know, I did it just to have. I did it because I just enjoy it. I had no idea of being a dancer. No. No, I was just, but it happened that way because everybody said there's this guy, and they hired me, and I would do acts, and I learned how to put acts on. So, you know, I would do a 3-minute act first, and then I learned how to do an 8-minute act, and then a 10-minute act, and a 15-minute. Then I did my last show, the one with Norma. I did 2 hours and a half on the stage. But the researchers over here learning and getting the knowledge what they have to give to you to understand, because we live in a world, a digital world. You know, I feel it's good with information. You can get it faster, but get it correctly. Just because it's faster don't mean it's correct. So be aware of that. And it's like in motion picture, we got to be scared of AI take our place. I'm serious. You be going to the movies not seeing real people up there. So be careful on that. So, but like I said, that's you know, the evolution of swing that's happening. So keep that in your noggin.
Please do me a favor, all of you that take classes at any venue, please be on time. Really, you're paying your hard-earned money to take a class. And when you're 5, 10, 15 minutes late, you're giving your money away. You're not hurting the teacher, and the teacher's not going to stay over her time because you're late. Plus, you miss out on the beginning of the class, whether they're talking to you or telling you something about what you're going to learn, or they've already started teaching a routine, you know. So please don't miss out on that time, you know. I hate when they come in late like that, you know. Plus, during that class, you're gonna learn a routine, and they've already started it. Now, right away, you've disrupted the whole class because they've gotten started, and here you 2 steps behind, and then they're gonna have to try to catch you up. That's gonna drag the rest of the class back. Plus, you're losing your money, okay? Be on time to your classes. Then if the teacher's late, you got something to talk about. You know? I want a refund. You were late. I was here on time, okay? Let the teacher be wrong, but don't you be wrong. You be there on time, okay?
Wait, Sugar, one more thing about class. I felt you had some wisdom you would like to share also about videotaping the class.
Oh, yes. If you videotape, you put us out of work. Don't put us out of work, because if you don't get it, then they might invite us back next year. You're not the only one that's not going to get it, of course, you know. You may not get it at first, and you need to see it another year. So that way we keep working, you know. Yeah, I want to do this as long as I can, okay?
All right, let me do a quick time check. Gilles, I know we're a little bit over, but how do you feel? If I know that the band has started, but if folks have any other questions, I'm sure the VIPs would be happy to answer any. All right, let's give our living legends a warm Bay Area thank you. And I encourage every single one of you throughout the rest of this weekend to come up to them, say hi, thank them for coming, and have a conversation. Don't be shy. No strangers here.